Recording's in progress. Okay, so I want to start today. If we want to figure out how we learn the scripts better, we need to identify two things. We need to identify first, before we get into techniques as to how to learn the scripts better, is we need to identify why do we fight the scripts to begin with, and identify what's the value of learning an actual script. So, because if we can't get those out of the way, if we can't come to an agreement on those, if we can't come to an understanding on those, then the techniques used to learn the scripts better are not going to make any difference. Okay, you follow me? So let's jump into, first of all, why do I fight the scripts? Robert, I don't fight any of the scripts. Liar, liar, pants on fire. How do I know? Because you're a human being and you're a salesperson. And every single one of us, present company included, at some point in their career, whether it's at the very beginning, whether it's after they've had some success, or whether after they've had some failures, doesn't believe in the scripts, fights them, comes up with their own scripts. I'm a natural born salesperson. I like to wing it. I'm over here to build rapport. Scripts aren't me, all these other different things, right? We all do it. So don't pretend that you don't. At some capacity, some of you more than others. So let's first identify, why do I even fight the script? So the first thing I wrote down is our ego gets in the way. Fight the scripts because our ego gets in the way. You can't learn. Okay. We can't learn something new if your ego makes you think you have a better way. I don't need the scripts. Be ego-based. Okay, those scripts aren't me, it's ego-based. I like the way I do it, ego-based. So when your ego gets in the way, you can't learn anything new because you think you have it figured out. You think your way is the best. So could be that your ego gets in the way. Now, as we go through these might not all apply. Okay, you might not have ego or anything like that. It could be one of these things. Could be the reason you're fighting the script. Could be multiples of them. And for some of you, well, actually, probably nobody on here, because if this applied to all of you, you wouldn't even be on here. Let's be honest. All right, the second thing I wrote down, and why do I fight the scripts? We think the scripts make us sound like a salesperson. We think make us sound like a salesperson, which, God forbid, you sound like a salesperson. You are in sales. Therefore, you are a sales person. Okay, so we fight the script sometimes because, oh, it makes me sound like a salesperson. That's what you are. I've said for years, I'm going to write a book, and the title of the book says, if you don't want to sound salesy, you shouldn't be in sales. You're a salesperson. They know you're a salesperson. Get over it. The idea that the scripts make us sound like a salesperson. All right, I wrote down here number 3. We don't know what they are, so we can't use them. We don't know what they are, so we can't use them. Well, what are the scripts? Where do I find the scripts? I don't have the scripts. So instead of just figuring out where to get them, we just don't use them. Now, for the Mike Ferry scripts, and I'm sure it's like this, I'm sure whoever scripts you use, Tom Ferry's, Mike Ferry's, Brian Buffini's, or whoever else has scripts that you use, I'm sure they're all posted online. Mike Ferry's, you can go to mikeferry.com and you can go to his resources, and it has scripts. You can download all the scripts. Okay. So you might not know where the scripts are, so you can't use them. There's how you do that. If you're with our company, we have a bunch of scripts that we send you. So, you know, that could be one of the reasons. I wrote down next, scripts take us out of our comfort zone. We fight the scripts because they take us out of our comfort zone. Well, why do they take us out of our comfort zone? Because you're not the one who wrote it. So actually kind of goes a little bit back to ego to some extent. Well, I didn't write the script. So therefore, this is a little bit uncomfortable for me because this is not something that I would normally say. These are not words that I would normally use. So they take us out of our comfort zone. I'm sounding like somebody else. Everyone else says the same thing, right? They take us out of our comfort zone a little bit, so we fight them. I wrote down next, we like to let the seller control the conversation. So we fight the scripts because we like to let the seller control the conversation, and the scripts keep us in control. How many times do you go to a seminar of any sort of professional speaker and the crowd is in control? Not very rare, not very likely. How many times do you go to a concert and the crowd is in control? Not very likely. Now, they might have the crowd sing along and stuff like that, but the band has a set list that they're going through. The crowd doesn't go, okay, now play this song. No, they go, we've got our set list. They're in control of the conversation. Their set list is their script. Go see a comedian. They have a way, they have a sequence of which they're going to tell the jokes. They are in control. So we like to let the seller control the conversation. So that's why we fight the scripts, because the scripts keep us in control. But we don't like that, so we fight it. The next thing I put down here, why you might be fighting the scripts, they don't allow us time for bonding. The scripts are too fast. They just get straight to the point. I need more bonding time. I need more rapport building time. Okay, I wrote down here, the only reason you want to bond is because you don't know what to say. The only reason you want to bond is because you don't know what to say. But some of us don't like the scripts because they're too direct. Our meetings should only take 5 to 25 minutes. Some of you are like, 5 to 25 minutes? I mean, just talking about our families and our dogs takes 5 to 25 minutes. We haven't even gotten to the comps yet. Doesn't allow time for bonding. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. The next one I wrote down here, which I hope this isn't the case. It's probably not the case for anyone on here. It's the case for some people, but not probably for you, but I'm going through the notes. We're too lazy to learn them. I don't think anyone here is lazy. And I say that not because I don't think real estate agents are lazy. I think there are very many really lazy real estate agents. But the fact that you're here and you're on Zoom and you come to I don't think you're lazy, so I don't think that applies to you. All right, the last 2 points here on why we fight the scripts, because again, in order to learn the scripts better, we first must identify why do we fight them, why is there value to them, and then we'll go through the sequence of how to learn them better. But the last 2 points on why do I fight the scripts, I wrote down, we're independent contractors. We fight the scripts because we're independent contractors. I don't have to learn a script. I actually don't have to do anything. I can't really be fired, because even if I was at Century 21 Masters and we said, we don't want your license on our brokerage anymore, you could just go to the real estate office next door and they'll hire you, and you can do that for the rest of your career. There will always be a real estate company to hire you as long as your license isn't revoked. So you're an independent contractor. You can't get fired. No one can technically tell you what to do, what to say. So therefore, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm an independent contractor. I did not get into real estate to work. Got into real estate for freedom and flexibility, which you all know how I describe those 2 words. The last point I put down here, this is a Mike Ferry line. We fight the scripts because they might cause us to succeed. Well, Robert, that sounds stupid. What do you mean they might cause us to succeed? Well, there are people out there. This is a true thing. This might, again, not all of these may apply to you, and some of these might not even make any sense. But the last point here, and they might cause us to succeed, because I get this all the time. Well, what does that mean? Why would somebody fight something that might cause them to succeed? Because to some people, they would rather be wrong their way than be right somebody else's way. And if you use the scripts and you succeed, then you have to kind of admit that someone else's way was better than yours, and some people don't want that, despite the success that comes with it. It's a real thing that happens all the time. Real things that happens all the time. If you ever watch sports, that happens in sports all the time. There are some players that, will go to a team that has a really good coach and a really good roster, and then they don't fit. They don't fit with the team because the team wants them to do it this way. This way works, but the person's like, yeah, I know this is going to work for the team, but I'd rather go do it my way over here, even though we're going to lose. It happens in sports all the time. Same thing here. So those are reasons why we fight the scripts. Okay, so you first have to identify, why do you fight the scripts if you fight them, and then figure out how to stop fighting them. So then the next part here is, what's the value of a script? So we figure out, why do we fight the scripts? We eliminate that problem. We figure out, okay, I'm willing to not fight the scripts anymore, but what's the value here? So we're going to talk about the value, and then we'll get into some ways to actually learn the scripts a little bit better. So let's write down, what's the value of the scripts? What's the value of the scripts? So I wrote down here first, it's customer oriented and helps the customer make a valid decision. It's customer oriented and helps the customer make a valid decision. The scripts are all about the customer. They're all about the client. Where are you moving to? How soon do you have to be there? How much do you want to list your home for? What's the bottom line that you'll go? Have you ever thought about selling it yourself? Like, it's all about them. None of the script is about us, or about what we do, or about our company, or about our family, or anything along those lines. The script is customer oriented, which means it helps them make a decision because the whole script is about them. They can't make a decision to sell based on what you think of yourself. That doesn't help them make a decision on what price they should list it for based on how great you are. Scripts are customer, it's all about them, so it helps them make a decision faster. I wrote down here, it generates an automatic response from them. Generates an automatic response. Now, it generates an automatic response because every part of the script is a question. Here's what you never want to happen in a sales scenario: awkward silence. That's what you never want to happen. Awkward silence essentially comes from when you make a statement, there's no question at the end of it. And so now you're sitting there and the client's sitting there and you're both just waiting, like, because the client's like, well, he never asked me a question, so I'm not sure what to respond. And you're sitting there going, how come they're not reacting to what I just said? So there's this awkward silence. There's no automatic response. The script generates an automatic response because everything's questions based. Even if you provide a statement, you still follow it with a question. For example, as a professional real estate agent, I study homes and prices every day. Okay, that's a statement. But then you follow it by saying, therefore, I assume you'll list with me at a price that will cause your home to sell, correct? So I gave a statement, but then I followed it with a question, so that way there's no awkward silence. If I go, as a professional agent, I study homes and prices every day. It's just awkward silence.
Therefore, I assume you'd list with me at a price that will cause it to sell,
Yeah,
correct?
Right. So, but that's why you follow with the question. The script allows you to follow with the question. If not, what we'll do without that is we'll make the awkward silence. So there you go. Good point, right? I wrote down here next, what's the value of a great script? When you have the script memorized and internalized, this is the biggie. They become your scripts, not Mike Ferry's scripts. Okay. Or whoever scripts you follow. Well, I'm saying Mike because we tend to follow Mike here. Whoever scripts you might follow, that's the case. But I say that because one of the problems we get with the scripts is, well, everyone's saying the same thing. Well, one, don't worry, that's not true. Because even if everyone followed the Mike Ferry scripts, for example, which they don't, but let's just use that as an example. Mike Ferry's got at best maybe true followers of his system nationally, a couple thousand, maybe, like true followers that will actually follow scripts and things like that, a couple thousand. There's 1.3 million real estate agents. Do you understand how small of a percentage like he has in market share on his scripts? So get out of your head that, well, everyone's saying the same thing. They don't. Plus, when you internalize it and memorize it, it sounds just like you wrote it. How do I know? We're not going to do this, but if we went around the room and everyone just did the just listed script, every one of them would sound exactly different, even though it's the same words. Because we'd all have our different tones, our different speeds, our different energies, our different accents. All of that would be different, even though it's the same words. So when you have them internalized and memorized, they're my scripts. So here's the key to this. Mike Ferry's a driver. So the scripts are written by a driver, but I read the scripts, and because I have them memorized and internalized, it sounds like an expressive is saying it. That's the value of a great script, is when you internalize it, it becomes yours. I wrote down here next, the value of the script is they're uninterrupted in the flow. They're uninterrupted in the flow. This kind of goes back to the automatic response. Everything's just in sequence. Boom, 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 boom. A script leads the client towards the end result, which is a signed contract. When you don't follow the script, we don't know what the end result is because you're just kind of going. Just kind of see where this takes me. That's what the definition of winging it is you're just going to see where this takes me. A great script's uninterrupted in its flow, which is also why the value of the script is really following it in sequence. Like it's written in sequence to get them. For example, you wouldn't do the comps first and then do the car analogy afterwards. For those of you who follow the listing presentation, right? In the listing presentation, you do a car analogy. So let's say you're going to go buy a car in the first dealership, blah, 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 blah. You wouldn't go, okay, let's talk about the comps. This property's this property's this. And then after that go, now let's assume you were going to buy a car. Wait, what the hell just happened? Right? We just we're now comps and now we're buying a car. So everything goes in. That's the uninterrupted flow of it. You don't have to think about the order. Value of the script. Okay. I wrote down here next, a couple more points on the value of the script. Okay. It increases the confidence we have in ourselves. It increases the confidence we have in ourselves. It increases our confidence because we don't have to think about what to say or how to say it. We already know it. So we're instantly more confident, because the opposite of confidence is uncertainty. And if you're not following a script, you're not certain what you're going to say whenever a client gives you a question. Therefore, you lose your confidence. So it gives us confidence. It increases the confidence you have in ourselves. And when you display confidence, you drive your competition away. I wrote down here, it saves their time and your time. It saves their time and your time. And time is the most valuable asset you have. A script saves your time. We do this all the time. And what I mean by that is we role play these scripts. We've done it on many occasions where we'll do a Zoom video presentation. We'll do something and we'll go through the scripts. And even if we give a couple objection handlers, it takes 10, 15, 20 minutes. We're in and out. If you don't do that and you're just talking and you're building rapport and you're not sure what to say, then it takes an hour. I mean, we've had people, look, I'm not saying anything bad, because look, everybody, you have to learn. So everything's a learning process, but some people have gone on 2-hour, 3-hour presentations. So, and again, that's not necessarily like a bad thing. We all have to learn. Every single one of us probably at some point has been on a presentation that was too long.
Right here.
Yeah, well, we all do it. We all do it. We've all been in that mode. Almost every single one of us has started our career or in the middle of our career or whatever the case may be, went on presentations that were 2 hours, 3 hours, started at lunch. I mean, we have situations like that. The script saves the time. So it saves your time, which is your asset, your time, your money, your energy, and it saves their time. And that's their money, their asset. Okay. They don't want you there all day. Let me tell you something. You go to a listing presentation, they want you there all day.
They get tired. Hello, just like you do. Oh, you froze, Robert.
That stuff. All right, good stuff. Good stuff.
I totally just missed what you said because you froze.
Yeah, that's fine. It was the best thing I said all day.
Oh, better not.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. It's all good. It wasn't that important. Saves their time.
Hey, you know what, Robert? What about like some of them you already know you have it in the bag going in the door. Like they're already ripe for the sale. What about like all those disclosures and everything? That's what seems to trip me up. It just takes forever.
Right. Well, that part's fine. That if it goes through the disclosures, that's fine. That might take some time. I'm glad you bring this up. It's a great point. The presentation itself should only take a certain amount of time. Going through the disclosures, doing all those other things will take an extra amount of time. Yes, correct. That's part of the gig. So if your presentation's 20-30 minutes, then you spend another 30 minutes going over the disclosures. You really didn't do an hour presentation. You did a 30-minute presentation, but then the disclosure minutes or whatever the case may be. Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you bring it up.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's why it took so long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I chime in here?
Absolutely.
Riva, the most important part of the listing process, get the RLA, the residential listing contract signed, and then get out. Let the administrative part of this office, i.e. Brenda Colburn, take care of all the disclosures. Let her take care of everything that doesn't have to do with getting the contract signed and getting them to commit to the commission paid. That should be your only focus. And if you have the listing present, I tell everybody, you don't have to memorize the pre-qualifying the listing presentation because most of the time you're going to do that on the phone. You're going to sit here, you're going to have it in front of you, and you're just going to go through all the questions. But the listing presentation, you have to have dialed in. What are you doing all day if you're not prospecting? You should be memorizing, writing it out over and over and over again. That was the greatest ingredient to my career, memorizing the listing presentation. So you call me at 3 a.m. Fred, go, hey, thanks again for having me over. I'm excited about it. You should be able to do that. And if you got that going on, when you can't wait to sit down and start presenting to them. But the most important aspect of the listing presentation, get the contract signed and then get out of there. And if your pre-listing package is dialed in, CMA, net sheet, references, I put a little letter in there. This is 27 active listings in your neck of the woods. This will help with the price and the number of days on the market, et cetera, et cetera. The net sheet and your plan of action, real simple, non-ego based, and get that contract signed. The last listing I took, it's going to hit the market tomorrow. I hadn't even met the client. I hadn't seen the house, but I sent her the pre-listing package. I came with a strong referral, and she signed the contract and sent it back. I didn't see the house till 2 days later, but the contract was signed because the pre-listing package was very strong. So memorize the listing presentation. Most agents won't do it. Okay, well, yeah, just show up and memorize the listing presentation, Mike's listing presentation. And I say that with experience because I didn't waste. I spent Not following Mike and all the scripts, 25 years of my career, the first 25, cost me millions of dollars. Don't let it cost you any money, Reva. Memorize that listing presentation.
What he
Thank
said.
you. I appreciate it. I clearly see the benefit of what you guys have there. I'm telling you.
He said, do that. It's great. That was great input.
All right, who wants to start a new group of writing down every day now? I'm still here.
There you go. We'll get there. Good job.
I'll
All
call
right.
you at 3, Fred.
Couple more points here. All right. I wrote down here, it allows us to stay focused on the present moment. Advantage of the script allows you to stay focused on the present moment. So what does that mean? I wrote down here, you never want to say, now where was I? You're following a script. It's just boom, boom, boom. You're in the present moment. You never have to worry about, now, where was I? Where do I go next? Okay. Powerful thing there. All right. Then the last couple points on the value, and then we'll talk about what Chris was just talking about is some different techniques on actually learning the scripts a little bit better. So a couple more value points here. It allows you to stay consistent in what you're saying. The only way to stay consistent is to have a script. So here's what I mean. If anyone ever tries to say, well, you told me this, if you follow a script, you'll know whether that's true or not. If you don't follow a script, then it might be true, it might not be. I might have said that, I'm not sure, because I'm just kind of winging it every time. I'm just kind of going on my own. But if you follow the script, you'll know exactly what you said on every single presentation. You don't have to worry about saying something that you weren't supposed to say or saying something that the client might throw back at you later. It's the only way to stay consistent. Okay. And I wrote down here, we talked a little bit about this earlier, it allows the agent in control. We talked about earlier, we don't want the seller in control of everything. You want to be in control. You want to set the pace, set the tone. And then the last thing I wrote down here, it allows the seller to make a much faster decision. Allows them to make a much faster decision because a couple reasons. I wrote down here, it gets to the point faster by following the script, so it allows them to make a decision faster. 2, it keeps their thoughts strictly on the end goal, which is getting the contract signed, or in this case, whatever their motivation is. When you're not following the script, you could get off, and you go on different things. Now their mind is there, and their mind is not solely focused on the end goal. Those people that don't follow the scripts are usually the ones that get we want to think about it more. We want to think about it more often. Because the client's head is in so many different places because they don't know what the hell you're talking about. Or you've talked about so many different things. The script allows the client to strictly on one thing, which allows them to make a decision faster. Okay, so that's the value of the script. So we've covered why do you fight the scripts? We've covered the value of the scripts. So now that you're not going to fight the scripts anymore, now that you understand that there is a value to it, it's okay, how do I learn this faster? So I wrote down a couple of ideas on how you can learn the scripts faster and better. Okay. Now, a couple of these are anyone can use. A couple of these are everybody should do it. And then some of them are, this may work for you, but if it doesn't, this may work for you. So we'll go. Okay, so I wrote down here, learn the scripts better. You have a couple different options on part 1. You can either A, write the scripts out every day, or B, chant the scripts out every day, or C, you could do both. So here's what I mean. Some people learn better by writing out the script every day. Boom, 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 write it out in its entirety every day. So the listing presentation, as Fred was alluding to, is write the listing presentation from start to finish. Okay, write it out for every day. Some people, the writing is not what captures them. It's chanting them. Example, myself. I can write it and I would learn it. I learn more if I'm just chanting out scripts. So if I sat here for 30 minutes and I just had the script in front of me and I just chanted it out real fast. I'm so excited about getting your home on the market and getting it sold. Do you mind if I come in? Okay, great. I wrote down 3 real important questions for you. Do you have to sell this home? Do you want me to sell it? You know, blah, 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 blah. I can go through, I'm just chanting it out really fast. And I'm doing that for 30 minutes. I did that. If I do that every day, I got the script. So some people will chant it out and it's just not their thing. So do either one, write it out every day or chant it out every day. I wrote down here, if you want to learn the scripts better, learn one script at a time. So let me elaborate on that. You can role play and work on different scripts, you know, like rapid fire role play or morning role play sessions, but your extra activity is focused on one script at a time. So don't, for example, if you say, you know what, I want to write a script out every day. Don't write the just listed script out Monday, the just sold script out Tuesday, past client script out Wednesday, the for sale by owner Thursday, the condo script, and then just repeat that. Stick to one. Okay, you know what? I really want to get this just listed script really down, so I'm going to write or chant that one out until I have it. Okay, because it's better to get really good at one than to be okay at a couple. And for most people, if you're trying to learn too much at once, you just stay okay at a couple for a lot longer instead of being really good at one and then going on to the next. So work on one script at a time. As far as memorizing the scripts, start by doing one line at a time. And then keep progressing from there. So I'll give you an example. The just listed script says, I just listed the property over on 123 Main Street. It's 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's listed for $600,000. I'm curious, who do you know that might want to move into the area? So I would keep doing that one until I have it memorized. Okay, I have that one memorized. Okay, so once I have that one memorized, let me do line 2. Line 2 would go, I appreciate you thinking about it. Now tell me, when do you plan on moving? So now I'm going to do the first 2 lines. So now once I have the first 2 lines fully memorized, okay, without the script in front of me, then it's like, well, what's line 3? Okay. How long have you lived at this address? And I'm just going to keep going. So now I'm going to do the first 3 lines. I'm going to do the first. So it'll help you memorize it better if you start doing it line by line. Because again, sometimes when you're doing the whole thing at once, it takes too long. So do it line by line. I wrote down here in terms of the scripts better, after you just focus first on getting it memorized before you start working on the tonality. Get the words down first before you work on the tonality. So what does that mean? Well, there's upswings, there's downswings, you know, shaking of the heads when it's, you're not playing yourself, were you? Don't worry about that yet. Get the words down. So once you get the words down, then we can work on tonality. But if you try to add the tonality as you're learning the words, it might become overwhelming. So just get the words down first. Okay. So I wrote that down.
Robert, do you mind if I chime in?
Absolutely.
Okay, so one of the best ways to learn the scripts is we all have cell phones. Most of us have Bluetooths in our car. So if you record the script on any type of digital recording device and you play it while you're driving around, hey, that's how I passed my real estate exam in 1986.
Mhm.
I studied, I recorded the questions and the answers and just read them like a statement. And I drove around for a month just listening to them. So I think we lost Reva. But anyways, that was.
You got me back. I got on my cell phone as soon as my computer died. I'm
Oh,
here.
okay. So
I
that
have-
being said, use your cell phone. You got a recording device on it. Read out the script and listen to in your car. Turn your driving time into learning time and listen. That's one of the easiest ways to learn the scripts. And I did that. I still do it. Listen. I listen to myself talk all the time in the car. But that is a very good learning tool.
Yep, I agree.
Anyways, that's that.
No, well, it brings me back to something Greg Harrelson talked about one time, to Fred's point, is that it's this, if you do that, it's like when you hear a song on the radio over and over and over again. At some point, you can sing along to the song.
Right.
You know, and even though you don't have the CD or anything like that, you hear the song enough, you know the melody, you can sing along to it. And to Fred's point, that's exactly what that would be able to do. You just hear it enough that you just get it. So good. No, it's a great point. Which brings me to the next thing I wrote down here on learning the scripts better is record. Record your role plays, not just your listing presentation. You should be recording a listing presentation practice every single week. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. At least once a week. Now, my recommendation is that you should do it every day, 5 days a week, until you get really, really good at it. Well, Robert, that's too much. Okay, let's have Tony Smith come visit. He only did 200 deals a year for 25 years in Apple Valley. And the first 5 years of his career, he spent 2 hours a day working on his skills. An hour on scripts and objection handlers in the morning, an hour on the listing presentation in the afternoon. Zach Baer, who was at the Mike Ferry Superstar Retreat this year, he also does the same thing. He took 19 listings in June. Okay, so don't tell me that it doesn't work, and don't tell me that you don't have the time. So I think, but you should be recording a role play listing presentation every day, or at least every week. And then you record your role play. The reason that helps learn the scripts is because, to what Fred was saying, is that you can hear yourself do it, but you can also hear if you're actually getting it and what you need to improve on. Recording is a magical tool that can help you learn things better, and then send them to your coach, your accountability partner, somebody to listen to. Every single one of you that sends me recordings, I listen to, whether it be your listing presentation, your role play, and I give you feedback every single time. Whether I coach you or I don't coach you, I do it every single time.
Okay, ask a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when you record and send it, I guess I guess I'm trying to figure out, it's like, the file, well, I know I'm getting to the file size, like what is the best way to record and send to you without so that way you can open the file and look at it or whatever.
Great question. Upload it to a Google Doc and share it.
From the recording from your iPhone or from what?
Yeah, if you record it from your iPhone, you can upload it to your Google Docs, and then you can share it.
Okay, so
that I know works. Now, I'm not 100% sure on the technical side of doing that properly, but I know that's how most people share it with me.
Okay. All right,
because
thanks.
sometimes, to Chris's point, is sometimes the file is too big to share via text message. So I run into that all the time.
So when you do just say if you were doing the listing presentation and recording, do you find a partner to do it online, like a via Zoom kind, or do you just?
So
Okay.
it's another really good question. So this is kind of an interesting thing in recording the listing presentation or any role play. Yes, you can find another agent that you can do it on Zoom.
Because
and just do the listing presentation that way. That's fine. Another thing you could do is, if you do go to the office and there are agents in the office, find someone to do it that way. But here's something, don't discount this thought here. remember, your role play partner doesn't have to be a real estate agent. They could be a spouse, they could be kids. It just has to be someone who's willing to play the role of a seller. So, you could have someone else do it as well. Lynn.
Let's just keep with the real estate agent.
Okay. But I was saying, Lynn, for example, in our Arcadia office, her spouse is always her partner. I mean, she's a superstar agent. So it's ideal to be a real estate agent because a real estate agent kind of knows how it works. They kind of know the gig, so on and so forth. So they kind of know what this is about. But if you can't get somebody,
I like to do this. I like to have where I think I'm like a level from 1 to 10. I say I'm like about 5, right? For me, I like to be able to learn from somebody who is either at an 8 to 10, and then be able to have another person who's a level 1 to 3. So that way I can show somebody how to do it and learn from somebody on the thing. What do you think of that?
That's fine.
Right.
What I would recommend doing is whoever you role play with, send me the recording and I'll watch it. And then I'll give you feedback, both good and what to work on. And that'll help you get from a 5 to a 10 faster.
Okay. Because I watched the recording of, C21 Masters training, with all the recorded role play that you guys do.
That's what I would do, Chris. And I mean, and look, it's always a good idea to role play with people that, are a little bit more experienced in certain areas, like a listing presentation. But I'm telling you, if you whoever you role play with, send it to me and we'll watch it and get better. And it's not because I'm some super guru. It's just because we all sometimes need a third party to watch things. And the only reason I'm any good at doing it, and this is just the God's honest truth, is I'm not afraid to tell people what they were good at and what they need to work on. Because that's the biggest problem. This just came up. This came up yesterday on a listing presentation. Nancy Dupre, her buyer's agent, Nancy went on vacation. So she asked her buyer's agent, hey, I might need you to take some listings. So I need you to practice with Robert on your listing presentation, because Nancy and I used to work on her listing presentation all the time. So we did a listing presentation with Priscilla, and I gave her some feedback, and she said she was so excited. She's like, you're the only one that gives me this kind of feedback, my mastermind group. And she's like, why is that? And I said, well, because one, my experience of coaching and training, I know what to look for. So that's number one. Two, I actually know tonalities and things like that. I said, but really number three is just sometimes your accountability partners don't want to tell you where you can improve on, because they don't want to upset you. But I'm not worried about that, not because I enjoy it, I really don't. But with someone like Priscilla, she knows that I'm only looking out for her best interest. So if I say, hey, you need to improve on this, she knows it's not me trying to be mean. So, but that's how she gets better. Melinda was the same way. I mean, Melinda still, and her and I role play her listing presentation once a week. And that all started because she wanted a role play partner of somebody that would actually tell her if she wasn't doing a good job. Now, most of the time she does a good job, but I'm not afraid to tell her, hey, that was pretty weak. And so but there's also the good part of it, because sometimes we think we're terrible and our confidence is crap. And then I'm like, wow, that was really good. And all of a sudden the confidence is better. So my recommendation for everybody is to role play your listing presentation with anybody, record it, and send it to me. And I'm never mean. I'm never, oh my God, that was awful. I'm never that. I just give little things like, hey, you need more energy here, this tonality, this, and this, little things to work on. But
Send it to me. I'll be mean. I'll rip you. And what's great? Hey, and when you dial in Riva and or Chris, when you really dial in the listing presentation, now you can focus on the upswing, downswing. And most everybody here knows that I do a lot of sports announcing. If I say, here's Johnson on the right side and he runs out of bounds, versus here's Johnson, he runs on the right side and he's knocked out of bounds. Downswing. When do you plan on moving? When do you plan on moving? Big difference. And you can't do that if you're thinking about what you have to say. But if you have the script internalized, it's showtime. You can act, you can do whatever you need to do. When we do the role play in the morning, I have so much fun with that. That's why I say, are you insane? Because it's almost too easy, but it's fun. And you can fluctuate the voice tone, but the upswing and the downswing come after you internalize the message, which is the script. But once you get them both down and dialed in, you're unstoppable. Upswing, downswing. You won't sound like you're reading a script. You sound like you're going to know what the hell you're talking about. And Mike always says, people will list with the person of authority. And when you get that upswing and downswing dialed in, and the scripts are dialed in, you are the person of authority.
It's true. Good point.
Thanks,
Good
Fred.
point. There you go. Good point. So on that note, that's what we got written down here. So again, we covered why we fight the scripts, the value of the scripts, a couple ways to learn the scripts better. So that's, hopefully there was something in there that kind of bit of getting better and thing we went over. No, good.
Good stuff.
All right. So what I would give everyone some homework on, I know some of you already do this, but find somebody, find some role play partners to focus on, a particular script. Now we talked about the listing presentation, and I think that's most important. Fred said the same thing Mike talks about all the time. So I would do that. But if there is a different script that you really want to focus on, everything's beneficial. Find somebody who says, hey, I really want to work on this script this week. Can we do that and utilize it? It doesn't matter what company they work for. It doesn't matter where they live. Everyone uses the same stuff. So, find groups of people that you can do that stuff with. All right, everybody. That's all I got.